Welcome back to Successful, the podcast where we bring on entrepreneurs or other people who are super good at what they're doing. And today I have with me Zina Oukil. And do you want to maybe introduce us to the people that might not know you?
Yeah, so hi, my name is Zina Oukil.
Yeah.
I'm
Nice to
a
meet you.
content creator
Yeah.
based in Calgary. I just started taking it seriously about 4 or 5 months ago, where I
Oh,
was
nice.
fully committed to being consistent, putting
Mhm.
myself out there, and giving this thing a go.
Yeah.
Before that, I was in the movie industry,
Ooh.
so I was in VFX. So that's
Nice.
everything that's like
Like
post-production,
effects. Oh, yeah. Nice.
CGI,
Yeah.
like that
That's
sort
so
of
sick.
thing. Yeah. And I was in that industry for like 6, 7 years in Montreal.
Nice.
And I was a production coordinator, and then I
Oh.
was a VFX artist manager.
Did you work on any movies that we might know, you think?
Dune, the first.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wait, what the? That's sick. I love that. I love like the whole, like the two movies that came out. I love both of
Yeah.
them so much.
They're,
Damn.
they're a work of art. Like
Insane.
they're-
Like honestly, like the VFX in that, I've top notch.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's
yeah.
sick.
And the director, Denis Villeneuve, is Canadian. He's from Quebec.
Oh wow.
Isn't that awesome?
Damn, that is sick.
It was an honor for me to get to work on that movie, and
Mhm.
it won an Oscar for Best VFX.
Mhm.
And to be involved in the VFX
Yeah.
was
Did you work as the the VFX coordinator in that movie as well?
so I was a production coordinator.
Production coordinator.
And I managed different departments
Mhm.
that were doing the VFX, so the artists that actually use the software to
Yeah.
create those special effects.
Oh wow.
And it was awesome. It's really stressful. It's really fast
I,
paced.
I imagine it's
Yeah.
such a huge project.
Yeah,
Holy.
but it was awesome. I
Alright.
also worked on Fast and Furious 9.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, these are huge movies. What the-
Yeah, and Shazam, the first Shazam.
Amazing.
Yeah, and a bunch of other movies too. So
Wow.
and yeah, it
That's
was
so
great.
cool.
Yeah.
You know, like one of my dreams was when I was little to be like an actor or something.
Oh yeah.
Like I thought I was gonna be like the next Spider-Man or something when I was like 9. But I don't know. But I don't know if I still want to be an actor. But like being involved in such a big project is so cool to me.
Yeah. It takes an army to make a movie.
Yeah, I'd
and it
imagine
takes
so.
time, and it takes millions of dollars.
How long did it take, if you're allowed to disclose, like for the first Dune movie?
Yeah, I would say about a year.
Damn.
A year or 2 years.
For 2 hours of footage.
Isn't that
That's
crazy?
crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And it was
yeah.
like every day, like 8 hours, like full day.
Yep, 40 hours a week plus
Jeez.
overtime during the end. So to push
Damn.
it forward, yeah.
I mean, it came out amazing, so I can see where all the time went.
Yeah, and then it was cool because my husband got to work on the second one as an artist, as an
Nice.
environment artist, and it just won an Oscar for VFX
Yeah.
as well, which is
Holy- Yeah, I'm telling you,
so
those two
cool.
movies are legit two of my favorite, like, sci-fi movies of, like, the past decade.
yeah.
Like, I'd say the only ones up there that can even compete is, like, maybe Interstellar or something, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
Like,
totally.
I love sci-fi movies, and those ones are really close to me.
That's awesome.
So you make content now, right? So, like, what sort of
Yes.
content do you make?
So, oops, sorry.
No worries.
I'm kind of discovering it as I go,
Mhm.
and my motto is to be authentic and to be truly me in the content that I make. And
Yeah.
I don't want there to be a separation between my online presence and my real life presence.
Of course.
And so the content that I make right now currently centers around Canada, right?
Okay. Nice.
Providing resources for Canadian brands, Canadian alternatives in terms of streaming services, like that sort of thing.
Mhm.
But my content is very much like it's very much what's happening in Calgary, what's happening in Canada, what's happening in my world. I want to give a voice to the multicultural kind of flavor that we have here in Canada.
Yeah.
That is our
The
strength.
melting pot that
the
we have.
melting pot, right?
Yeah.
I really see that as our strength. I mean, I'm
100%.
a first generation Canadian, right? And I kind of want to highlight that in skits and talking about it, and also highlighting the beautiful things that are in Calgary, because I love this city, and it's one of the reasons why I moved here, right?
Nice.
Like I grew up in Calgary, and lived then in Montreal for school and school being university
Yeah.
and then a career.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to move back, and it was just
When
a
did you
question
move
of
back?
timing. We moved back like 7-8 months ago.
Oh, pretty recent.
So it's still recent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just so happy to be back.
That's
right?
amazing. We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
So what led to the decision of you guys moving back?
So, my mother and my sister here in Calgary. It's where I grew up.
Yeah.
I feel like Calgary really shaped me as a person.
Okay.
And I really love Calgary's vibes. I feel like Calgary's vibes are unmatched. I feel like Calgary is such a community-oriented and friendly city.
Oh yeah, 100%. I've moved so
you
much.
know?
Like I moved to I think 12 schools in
12 schools.
from junior high to high school, 12 different schools. That's how frequently I used to move. But I'd say out of all the places I've been to like 7, 8, 9 provinces, I think. Out of all of those places, Calgary is by far my favorite place.
Yeah.
And I'm like really happy to have found like this is where we settled, because like if I settled somewhere in like Regina or something, like no offense Regina fans, but like bro, I'm gonna be miserable if I'm living there. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I hear
It's
you.
it's not the greatest.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
I just love the people here.
100%.
Like, there's such a kindness here. And I, like, one of my life mottos is just to be kind. Like, I think kindness can change the world.
Yeah.
And the kindness that I was shown growing up here in Calgary
Yeah.
changed my world, right?
Yeah.
And so I just feel at home here because of that kindness, just because of how
Nice.
people are. And there's going to be assholes everywhere,
course.
right?
Like,
Like,
you
that's
can't avoid
just,
them.
you know, there's bad apples everywhere.
100%.
But Calgary has this kindness that I think I haven't seen anywhere else, you know, and I love traveling. I've traveled to like
Oh, yeah, me
Italy
too.
and Sweden and,
Nice.
you know, a lot of different places in Latin America and the States as well, you know, and North Africa. But there's no place specifically like Calgary, you know, even across Canada, like
Yeah.
you said, right? So, and Montreal's a beautiful city. I love it.
I've actually never been there.
It has a lot of culture and history,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, bringing it back to Calgary.
Do you think French is like a must if you go there?
This is going to be controversial, but
Yeah.
no.
No? Okay.
So if you live in Montreal,
Yeah.
a lot of jobs are bilingual.
All right.
So you can get away speaking English. In more recent years, I think the government has been cracking down in regards to
To make it more French.
to make it more French, exactly. And that's made it harder for like
For a lot of
international
people,
businesses
100%.
and you know, so yeah, more recently, yes, but in general
You can survive.
You can definitely survive
Okay.
with no French.
Okay, that's good at least. 'Cause,
Yeah.
you know, I was planning on going on there like a trip because one of my favorite artists, what's his name, Illenium. He's
Okay.
gonna do like I think he's gonna do like a concert or festival there. So I'm planning on going there during like August or something. So I was like, yo, I don't really know French. I don't know if I'll be fine or not.
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's Montreal, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, you'll be fine.
Okay, that's
yeah,
good.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you did move to Calgary, right? What were some of like the biggest adjustments that you had to make from living in Montreal?
Yeah. So I moved to Montreal in 2011, and I've recently moved back like 7-8 months ago, like I told you. And in Montreal, I feel like people are it's more of an individualistic society. People are more reserved.
Okay.
People are
They didn't go out of their way to like talk as much.
no,
Kind of like
no.
New York.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the city I compare it to. Like, if I had to compare it to a city, it's like New York. And people aren't usually friendly. Like, they don't go out of their way to be friendly or kind, you know.
All just minding their own business.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, what do you want? You go to a coffee shop, like, qu'est-ce que tu veux? You know, like, they throw the coffee at you. I'm exaggerating,
Get out of
but
the door.
it's just a more reserved culture, I
That
would
totally
say.
makes sense.
And so me coming in, growing up in Calgary, like being loud and being super friendly, I had a culture shock moving there, and I had to learn to kind of temper myself and be like,
Yeah.
okay, like, you know.
But now you can be however you want.
Yeah. So coming back to Calgary, I feel like it's really helped me connect with that part of myself.
Nice.
And that part of myself is who I am at the core.
It's
you
never a good
know?
idea to try and like lock away how you are as a person.
How you are as a person,
Yeah.
exactly. And so in terms of a culture shock, it was like reverse culture shock, I guess, because I was just reconnecting
Yeah.
with myself and coming out of my shell.
Nice.
And the kindness is really like, when you get used to a certain standard of behavior, coming into a new environment where people are different, it
hits you.
yeah, like we're at a bar waiting in line to get a beer, and the person in front of us that we absolutely do not know turns around and starts a conversation with us. And they're like, hey, like, how are you guys? Like,
Aw.
what are you guys going to get? And it's so wholesome. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, it feels like a Hallmark
I
movie.
love that. I just don't understand why there's some cities, like I went to Japan recently. I went there for a month.
So cool.
No one talks to each other. Like there's like 1,000 people at like the Shibuya crossing, right?
Yeah.
There's like 8 different lanes, all of people crossing at the same time. Not a single person is talking to each other. They're all just looking down, going straight.
Yeah.
And it just felt so like monotonous to me. Like it's like
yeah.
there's so much more people here than like in Canada, right? In Canada, everyone's like so far spaced out.
Yeah.
Because it's such a big country with such a low population.
Yep.
And then here, there's so much more people, but there's so much less like chatter going on. It just feels kind of eerie to me.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
get that. Yeah, and you got to live where you feel the most at home, or
Yeah.
you feel the most connected with the people,
Mhm.
because the people make the place,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah.
Like, yeah, I can definitely see places like that being like really appealing to those people that aren't really about like trying to start
Introverts?
Yeah, introverts.
Yeah.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Totally.
Yeah, those kind of places, but not for me. I don't
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
And I want to say, like, it's interesting because it's nor good nor bad that different places are like more reserved or
Yeah.
more quiet, or it
choices.
just is, right?
Yeah.
And some people jam in that environment, some people don't, right? So
Yeah.
So I just want to like say that because I don't want people thinking that I'm
No,
hating
like
on.
we're not attacking any of you guys. Except for Regina, I might have attacked that. Sorry about that. But
Sorry, people. from
anyways,
Regina.
so you said you moved here like 7 or 8 months ago.
Yeah.
Right? And you started also content creation 7 or 8 months ago.
Yeah.
Is-
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll-
I was gonna say, is that the
yeah.
reason you started content creation? Is because you moved back here?
I'll give you the scoop.
Okay.
So I always loved being in front of the camera.
Okay.
Like in high school, I had a math teacher, and like I always like almost failed his classes,
Oh,
but
no.
he was such a great guy. Shout out Mr. Pope. He created a multimedia club for me
Oh, wow.
because he knew that I loved, like I was interested in journalism at the time.
Yeah.
And he would take me around and get me to interview people. We had a career day, and we had entrepreneurs, business owners come to our high school.
Nice.
And we set up in a classroom, and
Like they just come by and you just do like a quick
yeah,
little
he got me to
interview?
do interviews, and it was just the funnest thing, and I felt so freaking alive. And then I went to university in Montreal, and I joined a group of people the group was called What's Up Montreal. We would go around the city.
Yeah.
We filmed events, restaurants. Like
I think I know what's up Montreal. Like they have a pretty big Instagram page, right?
Yeah, I think you might be thinking of MTL Blog.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe,
yeah. But that's where I started, and I loved it. I felt so alive. I felt so in my element. I could be myself and goofy in front of the camera, and it was just, And Bell Media was doing a community television program at the time, and they were looking for content creators.
Nice.
And they spotted our Christmas parade video, and they reached out to us, and they're like, we'd love to bring your show onto television. It's community television, it's not paid, but you guys will have access to professional editors, professional cameramen, and all you guys need to do is ideate, and work with our scheduling people and tell us when and where, and we did that. We did season 1. I was, host.
That's such a nice opportunity.
It was such a cool opportunity,
Yeah.
and I was in uni, and so we did that season 1 of What's Up Montreal, and I was the main host with my co-host Jonathan, and then we did a twist on the Amazing Race Canada, but we called it like Montreal's Urban Race, and I was the main host for that. Again,
Nice.
loved it.
Yeah.
And then one of the executive producers approached me, and he was like, look, we want to give you your own show, and you can choose for it to be whatever you want it to be.
Okay.
But we just you know.
They just loved you.
We just and I was like, oh my god, And so I created a show called Montreal Seen by the Leaders of Tomorrow,
Okay.
Montréal vu par les leaders de demain. And it was a bilingual show, one
Alright.
episode in French, one episode in English. And it was just highlighting, the
So
cool.
you'd like bring on kind of like what we're doing here, like just bring on like
Yeah.
leaders within the community.
Yeah, I would like go to places that are doing really cool things in the city.
Yeah.
And I would interview them, and and it was just incredible.
Nice.
But then I graduated university and I had to find a big girl job.
Yeah.
And that was the end of that.
I mean, that's such a cool job that you went into. Now you're working with like Dune and stuff.
I know. But yeah, so my first job was actually at a startup managing web development. And it was awesome. And it taught me everything that I needed to know in regards to like client management.
Yeah.
But I wasn't in my passion. And then I got an in VFX. One of my friends referred me, and I started working in VFX, and I loved it. But it was
Were you
very
like
intense.
self-taught in VFX, or is that what you studied in university?
I had no prior VFX experience, like
Damn.
zero. And I interviewed, and they hired me anyways. And they're like, and I had to I hit the ground running, and it was a violent transition. I
Yeah.
never want to do that again. But we did it, and 7 years later, it has been so incredible to be in that industry.
Yeah.
But the whole time I was working in VFX, I was thinking about content creation. I was thinking about what I did with What's Up Montreal. I was thinking about being on
like how could I
camera
like
and
kind of redo that again?
yeah,
Sort of.
and I didn't know what it would look like, what I would talk about, but I just knew that within myself, that's something I wanted to try.
Nice.
And so the writers' strike happened in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And that kind of sent our industry for a loop, And as a manager, I started needing to let go of a lot of, employees because there weren't enough projects to keep them on. And I was like, you know what? This is a good opportunity to take the jump and move back home to Calgary. Because in parallel to wanting to do content creation, I also wanted to come home. I wanted to come back to Calgary. And so I gave my boss an ultimatum. This is a little bit of tea. And I sat down with him, and I was like, as you know, I've been wanting to move back to Calgary, and I've been talking to you guys about it for a year, to see if I could work remotely from Calgary doing this, and I would like to know. I'd like to ask you guys again, and if I can't work from Alberta or BC, because BC is at least closer, than Quebec. I'd like you to let me go, so then I can have EI in the transition. And he's like, I totally get it. We had such a good relationship.
That's
so good. I totally get it. Look, I'm gonna look into it for you, and I'll let you know. Next week comes, and we have a meeting, and he's like, okay. So I looked into it, and our company is going to make all managers work from the office at least 3 times a week. So you working remotely is not really gonna fly. And I was like, okay, but I'm gonna honor your request to be let go. So it's gonna happen next week, act surprised during the meeting. I was like, okay. But I'm letting you know so you can prep.
That's good. Yeah.
Which was like,
so nice.
thank you, dude. It was really nice, And so immediately jumped into prepping for the move, rented a U-Haul box, and you planned the drive. We drove from Montreal to Calgary, and we made the jump. We made the move, and then I had to unlearn because when you're in corporate, when you're a manager, you're responsible for people's,
for a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly. You're taking care of their salary. You're reviewing their performance.
Their performance,
exactly. Contracts, their well-being, policy, culture, la la la. You're responsible for them, right? You're serving them, and so in that environment, it's a very pastoral, mothering kind of role. You're not really being creative and yourself and goofy and like, ah, you know?
Yeah.
So as much as I loved that part,
You were like super reserved. You had to be super reserved.
you have to be reserved, you have to be corporate,
Yeah.
you know? And like the first few months of coming back to Calgary were about like reconnecting with who I really, like, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
Who was I before? Who am I now? You know, like it was a lot of work. It was a lot of like mental work, you know, to reconnect with myself, to embrace myself, to also push past the boundaries of like fuck who, like fuck whatever people think, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we're allowed to swear on the
Yeah,
podcast. Okay.
You're fine. You're totally fine.
Sorry, people from Regina.
This is the longest we've gone without swearing.
Okay. Okay. And then start content creation, like really throw myself in.
Nice.
You know?
And did you
So
like kind of start off with TikTok or Instagram, or what exactly did you start off with?
I started with TikTok.
TikTok, yeah.
And I blocked everyone that I knew. My family, my friends. Like
I mean, that's the way you gotta do it. If you want to be as like true to yourself as possible, you can't really do that when you're like always thinking in the back of your mind, yo, what if they see this? What if they see this, right?
Exactly.
I totally get that.
Exactly. Like I wanted to erase all of the potential like people in my head that are like, you know, like, and I just wanted a clean slate.
That's totally fair.
Because I was experimenting and I was putting myself out there and I was like, what's going to come out? Like, all I know is that I have this need to create.
Yeah.
So we're just going to follow it and it's going to be imperfect and it's going to be cringe in the beginning because it always is.
It always is.
But I need to be in a secret place of like no one that knows me, you know, seeing this.
I could just do whatever. Like yesterday, what I did was I did like a makeup haul video.
I love that. Come on.
Look, it's the worst thing ever because like my girlfriend, I bought her like a bunch of stuff, right? It was my birthday, so I went to Sephora. I went and got like, they have like their own packages. And then since I was already at Sephora, I was like, might as well like buy her some shit. So I ended up buying like a
Good
huge list.
boyfriend.
I bought like $300 worth of stuff, right? So there's like 7, 8, or 9 things with me. And she's like, you know what? Just film me a video of what you got for me because I can't see you today. But like next time before I see you, I just want to see what you got, right? So it's so bad. I didn't have like a camera stand or anything. I just kind of leaned the phone against like the counter of like my my bathroom, and I was just opening stuff like I got this. I was mispronouncing everything. You know, MAC, right? It's like a brand for.
Yeah, Mac.
I thought it was McDonald's. Like I thought I thought McDonald's had their own skin line. I was like, yo, this is so cool. I didn't know they had their own skin line, and that went like crazy. Like everyone was commenting. They're like, oh my god, what is this guy talking about?
I love it.
Because I don't know shit about makeup, so I feel
Where
like
did you post this?
I posted this on my Instagram story.
Okay. Oh my goodness, I missed it. I would love to see
It's
that
probably
video.
still up because I think it's up for 24 hours. But
Okay.
yeah, it's just me like looking at stuff like, all right guys, I got this. I don't know what this is. I think it's like some sort of lip oil. But yeah, here, look at it. And then I just put it down, and everyone's like, what is he doing?
I love it. But you know what? That's the best content.
Yeah.
You know, being authentic, being goofy, being imperfect, starting scrappy
Yeah.
is the best, you know, because people relate to it. People see you as a human being. And they're like, that's hilarious. Like, you know, you're not showing up with like a polished front and you're not like, you know, like you're just being real.
There's like 2 styles of videos. There's like business videos where you're trying to be as polished, as professional as possible. Kind of like this, right?
Yeah.
And then there's like your own personal videos that you're doing just for like, just because you want to film something and just put it out there, right? And no one's gonna stop you from doing whatever you want.
Yeah, and there's value in both.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you're.
I feel like you need to have like a mix.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as you're enjoying it and you're being yourself in both avenues, it's like a different flavor of who you are, right?
Okay.
So yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, because we're almost 25 minutes in, I just want to give a shout out to Celestia Productions. This is where we're doing our podcast. If you guys have any sort of like video, photography, website, SEO, content creation, any sort of needs, or even financial stuff now. We start up like a tax return thing, so if you guys need that, just head on over to right here, CelestiaProductions.com, and yeah. Thank you so much. And also, we're going to take a quick break. Welcome back to Successful, the podcast. Well, you guys already know. So today I have with me Zina Oukil. And so I was going to ask you, like, you've been making content for almost 7-8 months now, right? And like other type of content for a lot longer than that. So have you ever actually like dealt with like burnout or kind of like writer's block sort of?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in VFX, I definitely was burnt out, especially after the pandemic. The last show that I worked on was, before becoming a manager, was I won't disclose the name, but it was very long hours. It was very intense, and you don't always get. Of course, you don't choose what soups you're going to work with. So when I say soups, I mean supervisors what directors you're going to work with, right? So that, along with what was happening in the world with COVID and how intense the show was, absolutely burned me out,
Damn.
And it led me to a place where I was like, I know that I need to pursue content creation for myself one day, and then in terms of content creation, I don't feel burned out yet, right? Because it's so new, like 4 or 5 months, right?
Yeah.
But it's something that I'm very passionate about. But with having a previous burnout episode, I'm also very careful in regards to regulating my nervous system and really taking care of my mental health.
That's good.
So I'm a really big advocate for meditation, and some people, when they think meditation, they're like, oh, like, Buddhism, or like it's related to a religious practice or a religious, but it's really not, it's regulating your nervous system, sitting down, taking deep inhales, and introspection, you just put some calming music on, and there's different ways of doing it, but when I feel overwhelmed, I always stop and I meditate because it helps me recenter, and then it helps me reconnect with myself, and then my creativity comes back.
I feel like it's such a powerful tool that you really don't need anything for, and that a lot of people just don't utilize properly, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like a free thing. It's literally just you. Just learn to meditate, like, well, and I feel like there's so many situations where you can, like, kind of walk out of, like, knowing, yo, everything's fine. I don't have to worry about it for, like, the next 2 days. Yeah.
100%. It breaks you out of the cycle of fight or flight.
Yeah.
And it breaks that pattern of that your brain may be stuck in, right?
Yeah.
And it just helps you kind of, there's a word I'm looking for, it helps you kind of
Zen?
not ascend, but like transcend your circumstance.
Yeah.
And then hit the ground running again. You know what I mean?
Like, take a small breather and, like, really analyze things from, like, a different point of view for a bit.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like, you're taking yourself to third person perspective within yourself, and you're separating yourself from your physical reality. And it really allows you to see things from, like, a bird's eye view.
Yeah.
And then compartmentalize certain things. And then, like, you realize, like, I'm okay. Like, I'm okay. You know, in the grand scheme of things, I'm okay.
Like, when you see, like, let's say, like, someone that having a problem, you're able to, like, be like, hey, why doesn't he just do this or this, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, when you're in that situation, like, you kind of become tunnel vision.
Exactly.
It's really hard for you to, like, think of all the options that you have.
Exactly.
But yeah, when you do meditate, it's kind of like you can think of yourself as, like, a third person.
Yeah.
That you can be like, oh, why don't I just do this and this? And then you're like, yeah.
You're like intentionally removing yourself
from
that tunnel vision experience that, we all feel at some point in time in our life, because life is what it is. And you're empowering yourself to succeed. You're empowering yourself to continue moving forward in the direction that you want.
Nice.
And you're empowering yourself to become the architect of your life, as opposed to just always being in reaction mode.
I'll look into meditating. That sounds really useful.
Dude,
actually.
It's so helpful. Like, I'll give you a specific example, or I'll speak more specifically on it.
Okay.
In regards to content creation, you're putting yourself out there.
Yep.
If you're doing anything creative, it's an expression of who you are.
People aren't always going to like that.
Yeah. And that's triggering, which is also normal, right?
Yeah.
And it's triggering because our brain is trying to protect ourselves, right? Our brain's like, oh my God, danger, danger, you're being judged, or like, and
you're thinking of things that might happen that haven't even happened yet. Yeah.
Because your brain is trying to help you, but it shuts your creativity, it shuts you down, and all you want to do is hide. But because to be perceived and to be seen is scary, right?
Yeah.
But when you get into that place of like, all right, I'm going to remove myself, I'm going to take a few deep breaths, I'm going to meditate, you know, I'm going to pray, whatever, you know, just whatever you need to do to remove yourself from that fight or flight, you know, circumstance, and re-regulate your nervous system, it'll then help you see things clearly. And then you'll realize like, and as you reconnect with yourself as well in that moment, you realize like, I know who I am, you know? So even if I get misunderstood online or I get hate or whatever, that's okay because I know who I am.
Yeah.
And that clears up your mind to reconnect with your creativity and to not be afraid anymore and to keep going, right? So it's been a really big tool for me.
That's amazing that you have something like that, kind of like a support system in case you ever get these like sort of like backlash or hate and stuff. Speaking of that though, like what's some of the worst hate that you've, or I don't want to say worst, but like what are some of the most interesting hate that you've received for like
interesting hate.
Like, you know, some of them are just kind of funny.
Oh my goodness. Like the MAGA people they make me laugh. You know, I had a guy who stitched one of my videos and he called me a Canadian Mexican or a Mexican of the North. That's why we call you guys Mexican of the North. And it was hilarious because 2 days later, me and my husband were going on vacation in Mexico to Cancun. So I found that pretty funny.
Nice.
So yeah, a lot of interesting comments.
Like the people that usually hate on your videos, are they always like from like the same demographic? Like these old, like white angry people?
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And sometimes they'll be, oh my goodness. Okay, the funniest comments that I've gotten from that demographic specifically is they will find videos of me and my husband, and then they'll comment, oh my God, look, she's dating her brother. Literally, my husband is Swedish, and we look nothing alike. He's got blue eyes, blonde hair. And I'm like, what? Or, and so I love trolling them back and being like, what can I say? I have a hot brother. You know, it's like so stupid.
I have to.
Like, yeah.
Nice.
Or look at those two lesbians. And I'm like, we are, in fact,
how did you know?
Two very happy lesbians. Yes.
Like,
yes.
You know?
It's like the dumbest comments.
Nice.
But I think that when a video blows up, you're always going to get either, you're always absolutely
There's always
going
be like
to
a certain
hate.
percentage of people.
100%.
You can't please everyone.
But it's, when you do get hate, those comments drive your, video forward, right? They push it. Yeah. In the algorithm.
Like that's good.
So like I'm
keep
thankful.
Commenting.
I'm like I
right?
don't care, right? So yeah, when I started making videos and I initially got like, your first hate comment, you're like, oh my gosh, like,
Yeah.
But then you start to realize these people don't know me. It's okay if I'm
totally
misunderstood on the internet from like a 30-second
for every one person
video.
that hates on you, there's probably like 1,000 that like yourself. So like, who cares?
That's right.
Yeah.
And you just have to continue putting yourself out there. And if you get hate, it's a good sign. It means that you're being seen and you're like,
seen,
you know what I mean? So yeah.
Nice. So now that you've moved to Calgary, I was gonna ask, what are some of your like favorite places in Calgary to visit? Like for example, for restaurant wise, right? Where would you usually like to go eat?
I love Arashi Ramen.
Arashi Ramen. I haven't been there.
It's on Kensington.
Oh, okay.
And I think they have a spot in Banff.
Okay.
And they opened a new one in Calgary just recently, I think this summer. And their ramen, oh my goodness. We go there all the time.
What do you usually get from there?
I get the black arashi.
Black arashi.
It's delicious. Like the broth is just so nice and thick and everything is so flavorful, and
I might have to go there this week. I was actually looking for a ramen place to go to this week, so
Dude,
that's like perfect for me.
You have to check
I'll try it. This week for sure I'll go to Arashi.
Yeah, like it's funny because I haven't been in Calgary for 13 years, so I'm rediscovering the city.
Yeah,
and I'm sure there's other incredible ramen places, but that one, Arashi Ramen on Kensington, like go absolutely.
On Mondays, I also have a separate separate show. It's called Calgary's Finest, where we go and we see like the best places for certain food, right? So I think we have like 7 or 8 episodes out already. specialty. So we have one for coffee, we have one for pizza, we have one for poutine, we have one for katsu. Like we have a bunch of episodes out. So what we do is we'll go, right? So we'll go to like, let's say pizza, for example. We'll go online, we'll do our research, see what are 3 of the most talked about locally owned like pizza stores, right? Because if we do like franchise like Domino's or something, like who cares?
Yeah.
It's because the whole point of this is try and promote Calgary-based businesses.
Yes.
So we'll go to like 3 different price points. So it'll be like one's kind of cheap, one's kind of medium, one's kind of expensive, and then we'll tell you what's like the most worth it. You know?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
That's
we've been
awesome.
doing it for like I think like almost a month now. So, you know, keep an eye out for that. We'll have it
Hey.
linked here as well, like in the description as always. But yeah, nice. So you like Arashi ramen?
Yeah.
How about for like hangouts and stuff?
This is gonna sound cliche,
Okay.
but I really like the Devonian Garden. Yeah,
Oh, wait, I like it. Yeah, I love it.
I love it. I find it so zen, you know.
It's so nice, and it's like in the middle of a mall that's like surrounded by not the greatest people.
Yeah.
So having like a nice spot at the top is amazing.
Yeah, I've been there and I've done some work and,
Yeah.
and just being surrounded by the greenery in the middle of the city, it's like a little oasis in Calgary.
Yeah.
So I love it. And I'm still discovering coffee shops. I have a pretty nice setup at home.
There's one at
So-
what's it called? Agudo. Agudo's
Okay.
pretty nice. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Where
think
is
everyone knows
that?
Agudo in Calgary, right? It's like right in Kensington. It's like on the corner, right? It's this gigantic area. It has like 3 floors. There's like really comfy couches and stuff.
Ooh.
So it's super nice. It's like 4 or 5 minutes from this studio, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, Agudo. It's super nice.
Dude, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I guess we're almost gonna wrap up, right? But like before that, I just want to hit you up with some quick fire questions.
Yeah,
and
go.
With how these work is like, don't think about anything. Just say the first thing that comes to your mind.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Montreal or Calgary?
Calgary.
Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube?
TikTok.
One thing that you always carry with you.
Chapstick.
Oh, actually, okay, that's really useful. I kind of
Yeah.
need that right now. Dream brand collaboration.
Oh, Mac
Oh
Canada.
my god!
Yeah, yeah.
For those
yeah.
you guys don't know, I was showing her some of my videos, and apparently Mac is like this really well-known beauty brand or something.
It's Canadian.
It's Canadian. I thought it was like short for McDonald's, so I thought that
can't
Mac was.
believe it.
I thought McDonald's had their own skin line, and she was just bullying me about that.
I would never buy McDonald's skincare.
Favorite food in Calgary so far?
Ramen.
From
Ramen and pho.
Pho. Pho
Yeah,
is super good. There's
so good.
Pho 36 in the
Oh, I've
Northeast.
heard about
Super good.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Weird or unexpected DM that you've received?
All the sugar daddy DMs I get on
Oh.
a daily basis.
Are those real though, or are those like bots or?
I don't know because I don't pay
Yeah,
attention.
true. And if you could switch lives with any influencer for a day, who would it be?
Okay, so this influencer I absolutely love.
Yeah.
I wouldn't switch lives with her, like content with her, because I can't do what she does,
Yeah.
and I like what I'm doing specifically.
Of course.
But she's such an inspiration to me.
Yeah.
I love her vibes. Her name is Bree, and
She
she actually
Calgary-based?
Yeah, she moved from Toronto to Calgary, and she's got such good vibes. I
We'd love to have you on.
Yeah,
You know?
Bree, I'd love to meet you one day, girl.
Yeah.
she's really real, authentic,
Nice.
relatable, and she's just a ray of sunshine. So I really enjoy seeing her content pop up on
Aw.
my feed. So
Nice.
really like
She's
her.
what kind of content does she make?
It's I'd say like lifestyle, inspirational.
Vlogs, sort of, or skits?
Vlogs a little bit, vlogs more.
Vlogs more. Okay.
Dance videos.
Nice.
So it's really inspirational stuff, like
Nice.
motivational, inspirational stuff. That's how I
great.
would describe her.
Yeah, and then the
Yeah.
last question: if you had to nominate 3 people to be on the podcast, who would they be?
One of them was already on the podcast, Rizzy.
Oh yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Bree.
Brie. Okay.
And then this girl called Living with Jenna.
We actually have her booked.
Do you have her booked? Well, good job, because she, we've never met, but
Yeah.
I love her stuff.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Oh, it's actually so funny that all the 3 that you mentioned, we either know of or we have them booked.
Hey, we're aligned. I think it's meant to be.
Nice.
That's cool.
Well, thank you so much for coming, and it was amazing talking to you. And it's so cool that you worked on 2 of my favorite sci-fi movies.
Yeah.
And is there anything you'd like to talk to anyone about before we wrap it up?
Yeah. Just be yourself. Truly be authentic. You live this one life, and don't waste your time worrying about what other people think of you, because at the end of the day, when you're on your deathbed, I hope that the discomfort of thinking about what you didn't try because of other people's judgments that's more uncomfortable than being in the now, doing your thing, regardless of who's yapping, you know? So be you, be authentic, and yeah.
Nice. Thank you so much. That's super inspirational.
Thank
Well,
you.
this has been another successful podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.